What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys have been staying safe and been doing well since the last time I posted. Now, today's video is actually about an officer-involved shooting in Utica, New York that actually ended up in the death of a 13-year-old named Nyah Mway. I may have butchered that name, but we'll see. But the reason I'm talking about this particular incident is this went national and really international with the coverage of it. And a lot of people had a lot to say about it, even before all the evidence came out. And a lot of it was wrong, because they just jumped to the ACAB conclusion, and other people are on the other side of cops never do anything wrong. Now, I would like to think that me, like hopefully most of you guys, are somewhere in the middle, that they'll defend cops when they do their jobs the right way, and then they'll call cops out when they don't do their jobs the right way, because cops need to be held to a certain standard, and they need to be upheld to that, because, you know, they're supposed to defend the public, right? So let's talk about this and see if we can get to the bottom of it, because I've watched all the body cam footage, I've watched everyone's opinions of it, and I got some opinions on this. So let's get into this. Now, on June 28th, on the 900 block of Shaw Street, it was a little after 10 p.m. when officers rolled up to the scene. There was a couple kids, and now they stopped these kids for two reasons. One of them was they were like in the roadway, and they were basically saying, "Hey, you're not allowed to be in the roadway." That was what they told these kids. But what they didn't tell these kids, and what these kids probably knew, is they were armed robbery suspects. They had allegedly fit the description of multiple armed robberies that had taken place, even in that neighborhood, as earlier as the previous evening, where witnesses described a black handgun being used to point at people and to take their property. So they stopped these kids mainly for that, but they also stopped them for, hey, don't walk in the road, you know, sort of thing. So initially, it's going well. You don't think anything's going to happen. One of the officers starts talking to the kid, like, "Hey, you know, I'm talking to you because you don't want to be in the roadway, blah, blah, blah." It all goes well until one of the officers says, "Hey, can I pat you down for weapons?" He doesn't demand to pat him down. He doesn't detain him. It's just a basic safety measure that all cops probably around the world take. If they don't take that measure, they probably should, you know what I mean? It's just a basic standard safety measure that you should take. Now, this kid takes off, right? He takes off down the street, and 2-3 of these cops chase him down because they got a possible armed robbery suspect who fled the scene as soon as they asked about weapons, right? Now, this kid ends up getting tackled. The kid ends up getting shot. That's where a lot of people's thoughts about it end. They chased him down, they shot him. That's not how it went down. They chased him down, and then the body cam footage, you can see that he moves to his waistband and he pulls out what later turns out to be a fake Glock. It's a pellet gun that he cut the safety tip off of, and even officers at the scene after he got shot still thought it was a real gun. That this gun, if you put it next to a real Glock picture to picture, you can't tell the difference between these weapons. He pulls it out and points it at officers. Now, what he thought he was going to do with the pellet gun, I don't know. What he thought he was going to do with pointing the pellet gun at police officers is beyond me, but that's not the point. He points it at officers, and some people who are very anti-police go, "Hey, he should have known, these cops should have known that it was the pellet gun." And I'm like, are you serious? It was late at night, it was dark, they were running at full speed. He pointed what looked to be a real gun. This wasn't some Nerf gun that was like purple and orange and shot, you know, foam darts. This looked like a real freaking gun, you know? So they chase him down and they tackle him. And while he gets tackled, he's still got this gun in his hand, because if you look at the body cam footage of Officer Patrick Hughesney, who, if I pronounce his name right, hopefully, who is the officer that actually took the shot that ended this kid's life, you can see at about the 33-second mark that he still has that weapon in his hand. He's still fighting with the other officer who's on top of him, trying to hold him down so he can arrest him or detain him or do something with him, that he's still fighting with the officers. He's ignoring their calls to put the weapon down. And then about 3 or 4 seconds later is when this shot happens. Now, in the immediate aftermath of this, everyone was essentially, not everyone, but a lot of people were calling for this cop's head. They were going like, we want him to lose his job. We want him to go to jail. Now, I can understand that if the only thing you hear is officer shoots and kills a minor. If that's the only headline you hear, like you're scrolling through Twitter or whatever, and you're seeing like, oh, some cop somewhere just shot a kid, you might be like, oh, that guy should go to prison. But most people should wait in incidents like this till more evidence comes out, till maybe they release the body cam footage, or maybe other footage of this gets released. Now, because UPD here, so shout out to the Utica Police Department, was really quick to release the body cam footage in this particular incident. They were like, okay, here's what happened, here's all we can legally release, here's what we can legally tell you. But they were also like subject to change, but that's just natural with investigations, because during the course of an investigation, things are just subject to change. That happens, So they release all the photos and all the videos. They even slow some of the body cam footage down to show and circle where this kid pulls out the gun, points it at police officers, gets tackled, still has the gun in his hand, and he's still fighting with officers, repeatedly ignoring their demands for him to drop their weapon. Because you can hear these officers, before they tackle him, start to yell at him to drop the gun. Because one of the officers says, basically, he's got a gun, and they start yelling at him to drop the weapon, essentially. Like you normally would. If you're a police officer and you're chasing a suspect down, and you see he's got a weapon, or what looks to be a real weapon, you're gonna tell him, hey, drop the weapon. But unfortunately, this kid did not do that, and the actions he took that day, ended up with the result of him losing his life. It's a tragic incident. It really is. It didn't need to happen. I can guarantee you that this officer did not wake up that morning with the hopes of shooting a 13-year-old. I can guarantee you this. I can guarantee that officer didn't start his shift and goes, man, I really hope to get to shoot a kid today. That didn't happen here. You can tell in the immediate aftermath, they start giving this kid life-saving measures. They start chest compression. They start doing all of the life-saving measures that you would normally do after someone gets shot. But unfortunately, this kid later dies at the hospital. Now, let's talk about the city's reaction to this in the immediate aftermath. A lot of people in the city of Utica were pissed about this, even before they released the body cam footage, and even after that basically proves these officers did nothing wrong. Although all 3 of these officers are basically suspended pending investigation, essentially. That might not be the right terminology, but the AG's office has to do their own investigation, and they have to go through all the hoops. But I don't expect these officers to get charged with anything. Even the officer that was wrestling with him, that looks like he threw a punch, the kid still had what looked to be a real gun in his hand. And if you're not complying with an officer's orders to drop the gun, and if you get punched, that's your own fault. I hate to be that rude about that, if that sounds rude, but it is what it is. But let's go back to the city's response. The city's response was they wanted this guy's head. They wanted all 3 of these officers' head, although there was one shot fired. There wasn't like they didn't clip dump this kid like some officers in other situations have, that we've seen here on YouTube and other platforms, of guys not moving, guys already on the ground. They clip dump him with like 40 plus rounds. Didn't happen here. He shot him once while he was still fighting with another officer, and unfortunately that caused the kid to lose his life. Now, this is an incredibly tragic incident. It didn't need to happen. I feel bad for his family. I feel bad for the community that this happened in, because I grew up in this community. I don't live there anymore, obviously, but this is an incredibly tragic incident that just didn't need to happen. But the officers involved in this particular incident did not do anything wrong. It's a tragic incident that he had to discharge his service weapon, and that discharging of his service weapon ended up in the death of a minor. But that officer couldn't have chosen anything else, because he had to think of not only his own safety, but the safety of the public. Because if that had been a real weapon, if he had been opening fire, it wasn't just them. There was people on some of the other porches. There was people outside. It was a summer night. People were just, going about their business. He could have struck a bystander. So police took their actions accordingly to preserve public safety and public welfare. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you want to watch all the body cam footage of this incident, UPD has their own Facebook page for Utica Police Department. Go there, watch all the body cam footage, come back here, tell me what you think. This was a bit of a shorter video, but that's okay though. We don't lengthen these videos longer than they have to just for no reason. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other incidents like this you want to see me talk about. What other topics, even if they're not true crime related, you want to see me talk about. As always, like this video, comment on it, share it, email it to your grandpa working in the berry field so he can share it with all of his berry farmer friends. And until next time, guys, stay awesome and stay safe.